Hello, welcome to the A to Z channel. I'm Toby Allen. I'm the A in A to Z. I'm in charge of producing, songwriting, and engineering. And today we're going to be talking about a brand new drum library from Room Sound, which is the Ballou Signature Series Drum Volume 2. I've had a little bit of a play with it and I'm very impressed. So I'll say that straight off. I'm going to run through some of the features, some of the things that I think are really cool about it. Now, I just want to add that I have been given this by Room Sound to give you a nice little demo video, but I haven't been told what to say, and all of the opinions are my own. And what I'm also going to talk about at the end of this video is how you can win a copy of this. So that's going to be really cool. So stick around to find out more about that. First off, we've got the interface up here, so you can see an overview of what the drum kit, how it's set up and everything. So there's 4 tom positions. We've got 2 rack toms and 2 floor toms. On the high rack tom, there's a choice of 2 different toms, stainless steel and maple poplar. On the floor toms, you've got an option on the high floor tom as well. On the snare, you've got 3 options, and on the kick, you've got 4 options. So I'm actually sat at my keyboard right now just to make it easier, so you can hear what they sound like. So I'm just going to show you the differences on the snare. So we've got the copper, there's the brass, and the basalt. So that's not a material I'm particularly familiar with on snares. That's very unique. It's got a great sound on that one. And let's just go through the kicks. So there's your stainless steel, maple poplar, maple, and wound fiberglass. And then on the toms, so on the toms, we go with the high tom first because there's 2 options on that one. So this is the stainless steel. That's the maple poplar. Yeah, so the velocities are kind of a little bit lower than you would necessarily program at, just because I'm playing on the keyboard and it takes a lot of force on this particular keyboard to get the velocities up high. We'll actually talk about something along those lines in a moment, actually. But one of the things that is really cool about this library is that it was recorded on both tape and it was recorded digitally as well. So you can actually change on here. You can change with each of the samples whether you want to use the digital samples or the tape samples, and you can change all of them to digital or all of them to tape. You can also go through, let's say you want the snare type on analog, and let's say you wanted the kick on digital. You can do that. So you can mix and match between digital and tape samples. Now, the other thing which stands out to me on here, which it's a little thing, but I really love it, is the fact that it shows you with each of the instruments, it shows you which microphone was used, and it shows you which preamp was used. So I just think that's really cool to have that little feature there. So as you go through, you can see M380, PR30, MD441, E22, etc., etc. I just think that's really cool. You've also got another thing I absolutely love with this as well, is you've got a channel bleed option here as well. So let's say we go to the kick and let's just solo that. So all you can hear is the kick. But if you hit the snare, that bleeds through too, and you can actually control how much of the snare will bleed through. So I think that's really cool to have that full control over the bleed. I mean, if you want to have like a very, very isolated sound, you could turn all of the channel bleed off. But if you wanted it to sound like a sort of bit more ratty or a bit more realistic, then you can whack those up really high, or just leave them on the default setting if you want something that's kind of relatively realistic. You've also got on the shells, you have the option to, on the turbo track, you can add in a Kurt Ballou extra sample, which gets blended in. Or you can have a one shot and you can actually drag in your own one shots to be able to blend in with the samples that are on here on the library. You've also got a lot of controls with regard to pitch adjustment. You can adjust the sustain on all of the shells as well. And you've got a fair bit of articulations. You can actually change the volume of each of the articulations. So if you wanted to have the rim shots quieter, you could bring the rim shots down. And if you wanted the flams to be quieter, you can have those down, or louder, etc., etc. So I'm just going to reset all those. And what we've also got, if you go back over to the mixer, there are some effects that you can add on. So with each of the instruments, you can add in an effect over here. So you've got the master effects, and you can actually run on top of the entire drum kit. So that's really cool. So I'm just going to go back to the individual. So let's take the snare, for example. If we just solo that, I'm just going to run through, just looping apart the MIDI I have here. Sounds like this. So that's just the snare. Now with the effects, you've got quite a few choices. I'm just going to have to pull this up slightly so I can see them all. You've got 4 different EQs. You've got 5 different dynamic processors. You've got quite a few distortions, reverbs, and a stereo widener there as well. So that's really cool. Now what I was really impressed with is the rodent pedal, because I love rats. Distortion pedals, so I'm just going to have a play with that with the snare on soloed. I really listened to that with everything in there. I just think that's really cool. So I mean, you could put that as a master effects, and you can have it as like a little lo-fi effect for part of the song. There's loads of different things you can do with that. The EQs, we've got here a looks like an SSL EQ, basic high cut or low cut, and then you've also got a Kurt Ballou signature EQ, which is just a preset. So you can just add that in if you want to go for something that doesn't take too much fiddling around with or tweaking. We've then got an 1176 Pro compressor. There's a disto compressor that looks like it adds in some saturation. That's pretty awesome. There's a classic SSL bus compressor. That would be really good. I love SSL bus compressors on a drum bus, so that would be great to have built into the library here as well. We've also got a limiter and transient shaper. The transient shaper is really cool. So we've got this on the snare, so let's just listen to the snare. And one place where I'm going to just turn that off. One place where it's actually really cool is in particular is on the kick. So let's try that. And let's just for the sake of messing around and having a play, let's try the SSL EQ on here as well. So what we could do is, for example, let's just like boost 6.8K. So I was going to switch between having the transient shaper and the EQ on and off again, just while I hit the kick key on the piano. So that's pretty cool. I haven't really, haven't taken the time to actually go in and tweak those exactly how I would if it was in a full mix, but gives you an idea of what kind of things you got going on with that. So as with most drum libraries, you can multi-out, which is what I've done here. The option that's down here where it says channel output. So I've actually got it set up at the moment, going through separate channels in Pro Tools, which then gives you the option to be able to apply separate effects to each one. But what I actually like to do is I actually like to bounce each channel in place. So you have a clip for each channel, and then you can work with it like you would with actual recorded drums. So what I'm going to do now is just run through, just have a bit of this MIDI, which I've got set up, which is from the Mastodon cover, which will be coming out in a few days. I'm just literally just going to run through just that, because I haven't recorded any of the guitars yet, so there's nothing else to listen to. But I just, you can actually hear how it sounds. There's a bit of humanization done on here and stuff. But one thing I will say is that even without humanization, it doesn't have a typical kind of machine gun kind of sound. If you have several snare hits, for example, in a row that are the same velocity, it doesn't sound overly gunshotty like a lot of drum libraries do. So I've been really impressed with how that sounds as well. So let's have a quick listen to this. So it gives you a little bit of an idea of the sound. I think it sounds exceptionally realistic. So the next tab at the bottom here that we haven't looked at yet is MIDI options. Now, this is really something I really love about this is with the display, you can display it as notes or as numbers. So notes is what most drum libraries will show their setup as. But if you're used to programming in Guitar Pro, for example, then the numbers may be more useful to you. You've got options here for setting up your own maps as well. And then you've also got the dynamics, which is really cool here. So something you can do, you can change the gain on your velocities. So if I'm hitting the snare here on the keyboard, that's quite a sort of soft hit. So what we can do is we can actually turn the gain up. So if we do the same with the kick, so you see up the top here, it's telling me that when I'm pressing the kick, I'm doing a velocity of 104 and it's coming out 127. Do a light hit, 55, it gets boosted up to 95. So that can be really useful if you're using an E-kit and the velocities are not coming through as high as you'd like, or maybe higher than you would like, and you want to bring it down a little bit. They've got that option there as well. That's a very, very useful feature to have. So I think that's really cool. This is very, very well thought out. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting from this. I can't think of anything that this is missing. You've also got some grooves here as well. So you can drag those into your DAW. So yeah, like as I said, this is exceptionally well thought out. You've got the ability to change between digital and tape. That's huge. You've got the ability to control the bleed. You've got a whole bunch of effects you can add in. You've got a whole bunch of velocity options as well on the shells. And you can add in your own one-shots as well, which is very, very cool. I've not seen that in a contact instrument before. So yeah, I think this is absolutely fantastic. I definitely recommend it. And we've got a full song demo coming in a few days, which will be using this kit, so you'll be able to hear how that sounds in the context of a whole song. So keep an eye out for that. Well, all right, well done for making it this far into the video, and I hope you've enjoyed what you've seen with the fantastic new drum library from Room Sound. Now you have an opportunity to win a copy of this drum library. All you need to do are two things. One, subscribe to this channel. And if you could hit the notification bell as well, that'd be fantastic. And number two is to leave a comment below saying A, what your favorite feature of this drum library was from this demo, and B, why you deserve to win a copy. And then in a week's time, we'll go through and we'll randomly select someone who has done both of those things, and they will win a copy. Thanks very much for watching. Again, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you want to be able to enter the contest and also see more of our videos as they come out.